So obviously one of the coolest things that was shown off from the announcement of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC was actually the one thing that was included in the updates of the game that isn't a part of the DLC, and that is the reveal of Paradox, Suicune and Virizion, aka Walking Wake and Iron Leaves. These two have been teased for months in the main Scarlet and Violet games, and they were finally revealed just a little bit ago, but now everyone is asking, especially because these Pokemon do not look like the drawings that teased them, are we going to get Paradox forms for the other members of these legendary trios, such as Entei and Raikou for the legendary beasts, or Cobalion and Terrakion for the Swords of Justice? Well, in today's video, we are going to find out what that could look like if that does indeed happen. Personally, I feel like it will happen, so this video is going to be a taste of what we might be seeing a few months down the line when the DLC for Scarlet and Violet starts releasing. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. You know, Paradox Pokemon from the past and future are actually a lot like the wonderful sponsor that helped make this video happen, Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. These two make boxes of super yummy Japanese treats that come directly from Japan, and they send them right to your door. I've been getting these boxes for a while myself, and they never disappoint, but this month's boxes are especially a bangin'. Tokyo Treat has got you covered on the modern Japanese treats, and it brings you stuff like melon-flavored Kit Kats. Like, where else are you gonna get those? I mean, come on. And it also features these apple gummies, which are genuinely one of the best gummy candies I have ever had. Ever. Like, honestly, they're super good. Meanwhile, Sakura Co. takes care of you on the traditional side of Japanese treatery, and this month's box had these really yummy cream pastries, and it also had this little side dish as well. The quality on it is super good, and you also get a piece of tableware just like this from Sakura Co. in every box. It's super cool. I honestly cannot recommend these boxes enough. They're a great way to get a taste of Japan, and also just to try something new, and picking up a box through my links in the description also directly supports the channel, so it's a win-win. You'll even get $5 off your first box of each with the code HOOPS at checkout. So check that out with the links below, and for real, get you some of those apple gummies. They're nuts. And a big thank you to Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. for supporting the channel. Okay, so first things first, I have got to give a huge shout out to Alestiva076, who drew the artwork that I commissioned from him in this video. He does amazing work, so be sure to check him out with the links in the description and give him a follow. When it comes to what Paradox, Entei, Raikou, Terrakion, and Cobalion could look like, though, I personally feel like, given that we were presented this strange drawing in the games that was a combination of all three, and the ones that we have now don't look anything like that, but do have some features of that drawing, I feel like if we are going to get Paradox forms of these other legendaries, that it possibly could use more of the traits from these drawings, and these drawings are in fact a result of all of these Paradox Pokemon being fused into one creature by the artist. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at Paradox Entei, or as I like to call it, Vicious Vulcan. Now, Vicious Vulcan, just like Walking Wake, has a dinosaur-like appearance. Obviously, this is not something we expected to happen at all, but since these Pokemon are a part of a trio, it only makes sense for the others to have this prehistoric dinosaur-era look to them as well. When it comes to Vicious Vulcan in particular, just like Walking Wake, it is a dragon type combined with Entei's classic fire type, meaning that it's a fire dragon type altogether. Compared to Walking Wake's raptor-like appearance, I also wanted to give Vicious Vulcan a little bit more bulk and be a little more Tyrannosaur Rex-like as well, to just kind of be the brute of the three legendary beast paradox forms. And personally, even though this is such a strange combination of elements in a Pokemon design, I feel like this particular design turned out amazing and looks really cool. And if we're going the dinosaur route with the Paradox legendary beasts, this is something that I would definitely love to see in the games if we do in fact get Paradox versions of these Pokemon. I also believe that it's worth pointing out that in the previous generation, in Sword and Shield's DLC, we got regional variants of Gen 1's legendaries, and the fact that we already have essentially a regional variant or a new form of Gen 2's legendaries with Walking Wake, I think that just adds to the likelihood that we are in fact going to get additional forms for the other two legendary beasts as well, which, based on the design of Vicious Vulcan here, I am very excited for. With that being said though, let's go ahead and take a look at the opposite side of the coin and check out the Swords of Justice. Now the Swords of Justice are obviously going to be exclusive to Pokemon Violet, where the Paradox Pokemon are from the future, and therefore, just like Iron Leaves, are going to have the robotic look to them as opposed to the prehistoric look from the Paradox Pokemon of Pokemon Scarlet. So, with that in mind, that is what has resulted in the look of Iron Forge, aka Paradox Cobalion. Now, in just the same way that I am doing with the Legendary Beasts designs, I am also taking traits from that combined Swords of Justice Paradox Pokemon drawing in the Violet book and Pokemon Violet to sort of mold out the traits and appearances of Cobalion and Terrakion, who will come a little bit later. The future Paradox Pokemon are obviously a little bit easier to translate because they are essentially just robots of their base forms, but I did want to pay special attention to detail of those traits that came from the creature in that drawing, so it could be as if that drawing was indeed a combination of all three, and that is where Iron Forge gets some of its physical attributes. And since its counterpart Iron Leaves is a grass psychic type, Iron Forge is following in its footsteps and is a steel psychic type, using that new psychic type just like Iron Leaves did, but also retaining the type of its base form Cobalion, just like Virizion did, and having that steel type. Its name, which admittedly is pretty self-explanatory because all of the Paradox Pokemon names are self-explanatory, comes from Iron because that is what all of the future Paradox Pokemon have in their names, and then also comes from the word Forge because obviously it's a steel type. That also falls in line with Iron Leaves using the word leaves, which goes along with its grass type as well, so it's just keeping the theme that's been established for this trio of Pokemon. Switching things up once again though, we are now going to look at the legendary beasts once again and take a look at Raikou. More specifically, Paradox Raikou, who I like to call Beastly Bolt. Now, Beastly Bolt is easily my favorite Paradox Pokemon in this video, and might actually be my favorite Paradox Pokemon I have created to this point, and I've made a few videos worth of them. This guy just turned out so unbelievably cool, and I think is exactly how a Paradox Raikou would look if we actually got an official version. Now you may notice how Beastly Bolt is not really a dinosaur like Vicious Vulcan is and Walking Wake is, and while it would make sense for all three of them to be that kind of style since they are a trio, the reason why I went with this four-legged, non-dinosaur-esque appearance for Beastly Bolt is simply because, like I said, I wanted each one of these Pokemon to have traits of that combined drawing. And since that combined drawing has the 4 legs of Raikou, I wanted to keep Raikou on 4 legs for this Paradox form. And it actually works out pretty perfectly because Raikou is already based on a saber-toothed tiger, which is already a prehistoric animal. So you basically just have to make it a little more prehistoric, and not only do you have something that fits right in with the theme, but you also have something that fits in with that drawing as well, and that just makes for a beautiful design, and obviously it makes for a beautiful design because this thing turned out incredible. While Beastly Bolt doesn't have the dinosaur-like appearance of its counterparts, however, it does match up with them in the type department, as it also is going to have the dragon type and be Electric Dragon, just like its other two members. I know it doesn't exactly look very dragon-like, but I feel like it's gotta match up with its other counterparts type-wise, and if things like Zygarde 10% form or Mega Ampharos can be dragon types, then I feel like Beastly Bolt could be a dragon type too. And frankly, that just makes it all the cooler. So if we do actually get Paradox, Entei, Raikou, Terrakion, and Cobalion, this exact design, or something very close to it, is exactly what I want, because the potential is clearly there for something phenomenal. However, we are now going to flip back over to the other side one more time and take another look at the Swords of Justice. We covered Cobalion last time, so now it is time to cover Terrakion, and more specifically, its potential Paradox form that I have named Iron Boulder. Now sadly, as is the case once again with the future Paradox Pokemon, it's a lot more simplistic in terms of what's going on. It's basically just a robot Terrakion. However, it does have some of those traits that the fused Swords of Justice Paradox Pokemon from the drawing has, like for example the feet and the legs, so that was taken into consideration as well. As far as its name goes, once again, Iron Boulder, pretty self-explanatory, goes along with its typing, which is Rock Psychic, coming from the Rock of Terrakion and the Psychic of Iron Leaves, which obviously should, if this actually happens, carry over to the rest of the Swords of Justice, and obviously the term Iron is what all of the future Paradox Pokemon use. Despite the simplicity though, I think this design turned out pretty good as well, and honestly, with the way the future Paradox Pokemon are, I would be happy if this is what we got for Paradox Terrakion, as well as Paradox Cobalion, and the legendary beasts that I've presented in this video as well. I think all of these designs show why these Pokemon need to happen, and they also show why my good friend who did the artwork for these, Alestiva076, is an incredible artist who you should follow with the links in the description. With that being said though, I now want to know what you guys think about these designs. Which one is your favorite? Do you think they are actually going to happen? And is there anything else you'd like to see differently with these Pokemon if they do happen? Leave those thoughts in the comments, be sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more if you're new. With that being said, I will be back with another new video as well very soon, and until then, as always, thank you guys so much for watching this one. I really appreciate it, and I will smell you guys later.